Dogodek, buenas tardes. Thank you very much for inviting me. I just came back from holidays last evening, so I'm all fresh and perhaps I've forgotten everything, but I think that freshness is a good thing to start with. Being appointed as the Spanish ambassador to Slovenia was for me a surprise, because only a few months before, the then Minister of Foreign Affairs I was then Director General for Latin American topics in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Spain, and the minister had, in a tete-a-tete, told me that I was going as an ambassador to Tunisia. And so, well, the change was quite big. But my first official event in Ljubljana as an ambassador was a presentation of Spanish wines. And I think that was a good omen. It was a good beginning to start with. I arrived in May 2009, and it was the spring, that outburst of flowers, of colors, then the summer. And then the autumn came, and that gray cap which settles on the sky of Ljubljana, and which is probably the hardest thing to me to cope with. And so I started to become, I was alone, my family stayed in Madrid, and I started to become a bit melancholic, nostalgic, and to believe that I couldn't make it. And then one day I went with some friends hiking. That's one of the things of the many things I have discovered in Slovenia, to Triglav National Park, not up the Triglav, not yet. I'm not such a Slovene yet. It will come. And nature just slapped me on the face and said, forget about your moaning, about your sadness, about your loneliness. It was a fantastic autumn day with all the colors from yellow to green to red, orange. And nature gave me the answers and gave me that impulse of enthusiasm and of commitment with my duty here as ambassador. I had the good opportunity which the Spanish presidency of the European Union gave to me. Spain had the presidency of the European Union in the first semester of 2010. I was very involved in the negotiations, then the end of the negotiations for the enlargement to Croatia, which was quite tough because Slovenia was a stumbling block in those negotiations. But that allowed me to have a very easy and fluent interlocution with my Slovene counterparts, with Slovene authorities, Slovene managers, Slovene businessmen. And then one of the first Slovene expressions I learned was "Španskavas." And so I said, well, my duty here, my objective, is to put Spain in the map of Slovenia. And there are quite a few things about Spain which are known in Slovenia, but perhaps some economic and business facts are not as well known, are not as obvious here. Like, I don't know, 2 Spanish banks rank among the 10 top banks in the world. A Spanish company manages 1/3 of the world air traffic. Spanish companies manage Heathrow Airport in London or the London Tube. Spanish companies have won the biggest contract ever in the history of railways with a high-speed railway from La Meca to Medina. We are working in the Panama Canal. And this drives me, well, I had this purpose of putting Spain in the map of Slovenia, but I had somehow to grab the microphone, to acquire a certain visibility, to be able to transfer those messages. Perhaps some of you, with introductions, and some of you might know that I am a certain culture freak. And so I thought that in a country where the 2 national heroes are a poet, Prešeren, and an architect, Plečnik, as I underlined to all Spanish visitors and friends who come to visit me here. I thought that culture was a good way to give my messages, the messages that I want to convey to you this evening, and it is that Spain has undergone a very tough effort of adjustment since the beginning of the crisis, and we are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Our growth is expected to be 1.5% this year, 1.8% next year. Our investment in big machinery has increased for the first time in the last 7 years. Employment has begun to rise, although our unemployment is still very, very high. Our ability to finance ourselves in world markets is increasing, and of course the interest rates are much lower than 2 years ago. I would say that our effort also in fiscal consolidation has been very big. We introduced the fiscal golden rule in our constitution 2 years ago, and this applies not only to the central government but also to all autonomous and local administrations. Well, we have had a profound fiscal reform, and in these structural reforms which are aimed at gaining competitivity, I would say that the most important ones have been labor and pension reform and downstreaming of our banking sector. In 2012, we had 50 banks and savings banks, and that has been downstreamed to 12 now. And we have done a complete striptease of our financial sector with the European Commission, with the ECB, with the IMF, so that I think that the path for growth is there, and our priorities are growth and employment. And I also think that Spain and Slovenia can do things together in the business field. There was an important business forum on the occasion of the visit of the Spanish Minister of Foreign Affairs last March, in which 7 Spanish companies and 33 Slovene companies had the opportunity of having B2Bs, and some actual facts are already there. Indra has won a contract for a radar system in Ljubljana Airport. Ineco is talking with Slovene DRI. OHL is working with it's a construction company, is working with a Slovene company with European funds in the construction of some roads, and also in in waste water management in Kranj with big amounts of money. So I think we are in the good path. I think that from these meetings, there are 2 fields in which Spain and Slovenia can work together. One is triangulation. Spain has a big projection in Latin America and in the Arab countries, and Slovenia can be of a great help for us in ex-Yugoslavian countries, in Eastern Europe, and in Russia. And also Spain has a profound experience in the using of European funds, which is an important field. So, well, I'm getting signals that I should be ending, but I would like to add that I wish you a big luck on Saturday. The World Basketball Championship is being played in Canarias, and so I advise you all to go there. It's beautiful, and then I'm sure that Slovenia will go on to the second phase, which is going to be played in Barcelona, and the final, which is going to be played in Madrid. And to say that perhaps one of my biggest, and I have had many personal satisfactions during my stay in Slovenia, has been the publishing of 2 books. One is called Leti od Nevi, and it is, well, my experience of traveling to Latin America, many trips to Latin America, but to many other places in the world because of professional reasons, but my own very personal view on that. And the second one, which has been written in Slovenia, is called Invasiones in Spanish, and the title was translated by Prodirania. And it is really true that I have been invaded by Slovenia, that I have fallen in love with this country, and that if Alias Gosnar, who is a good friend of mine, your ambassador in Madrid, allows me to say that, I would like very much to be your ambassador in Spain, as I am the Spanish ambassador in Slovenia. Thank you very much.